We're back with pollsters Patrick Murray from Monmouth and Dan Cassino from Fairleigh Dickinson, and we're looking ahead now to politics in 2017, and obviously dominating politics in 2017 will be the gubernatorial election. And you had a famous tweet where you came out and said that after Stephen Fulop dropped out of the race and Steve Sweeney dropped out of the race, that Phil Murphy was going to be the next governor. You said a moment ago you have to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think he's going to be the Democratic nominee, certainly because of how strong our party system is here in the state. A lot of people in New Jersey and outside of New Jersey don't realize how unique New Jersey's primary system is with these county lines and how much power they have. And so even a grassroots candidate like a John Wisniewski, who's trying to run as a grassroots Bernie Sanders candidate, doesn't really have a chance in this kind of environment. But I also thought that we were going to run up against a Republican nominee who is probably going to be somebody who has ties to Christie. The Christie fatigue in New Jersey is so huge a factor that it was going to be such an albatross around whatever the Republican's neck was that Phil Murphy then would go on. Now, Chris Christie, it looks like he is going to stay around. He is going to be in Trenton in November of 2017, which means that he is going to be a factor in this race. However, I'm not right now convinced that whoever the Republican nominee is going to be is necessarily going to be somebody who has a Christie tie. We've been hearing things about Joe Piscopo, right? Potentially running. It could be somebody from outside of politics here in New Jersey. And given what happened in the 2016 election, I wouldn't put that past, because I don't think Phil Murphy has the middle class message that New Jersey's middle class wants to hear.
Yeah, and we should note, I mean, New Jersey has had experience with former executives at Goldman Sachs running for governor, and it hasn't worked out well historically for them. So Phil Murphy is certainly a flawed candidate in some sense. That said, as Patrick said, in New Jersey, primary elections are a messy thing. In New Jersey, we like to avoid competitive primaries whenever possible, and really the party machine system we have allows us to do that. So Murphy really is almost a shoo-in for the Democratic nomination at this point. The Republican side is far more up in the air, and we're seeing, or even among the declared candidates, someone like Steve Rogers out of Nutley, who has the same name as Captain America, so that's going to help him out a little bit somewhere. We also have we have a lot of candidates. People are making noise about Tom Kean Jr. running for office, and as we found out, we polled Tom Kean Jr. years ago. So about 15% of New Jersey voters think he's his father, and his father is enormously popular in New Jersey. So the Republican side is still really up in the air. Kim Guadagno is probably still the front runner for that, but really we don't know what's going to happen. And we can tell Kim Guadagno is thinking about this because of the way she's been so publicly distancing herself from Chris Christie in recent months.
And it seems like any Republican that runs is going to have to run against Chris Christie. That's the only way somebody's going to have a chance, right?
Right. I mean, the nominee would have to be somebody who's not affiliated with Christie. It would have to be somebody we're not talking about right now as a potential nominee. The folks who have thrown their hats in the ring, or it could be a Steve Rogers or somebody. It has to be somebody who's, and by the way, in a multi-candidate race on the Republican side, we talked about the Democratic side. On a multi-candidate race in the Republican side, it's much easier for somebody who's not well known to win that race. So if you get somebody who gets a little bit of grassroots support in the Republican, who can gin up those Trump voter base, and they exist in the Republican primary here in New Jersey, you could potentially win the Republican nomination without being tied to Chris Christie at all.
Two things I want to get to real quick. At the end of every year, they're talking about next year is the year we're going to deal with pension reform, and it never seems to happen. Is 2017 the year we're going to deal with it?
I think it's entirely possible, largely because we're going to have a lame duck governor who doesn't at this point have too much to lose, so it's entirely possible he's going to be willing to make a deal on it. Also, whoever the new governor is who comes in does not want to deal with this issue. So there's going to be enormous pressure on the state legislature. If the Democrat wins, the Democrats in the state legislature are going to want to make a deal just to clear the path. Also, we're getting to the point with things like transportation and with the pension where you're going to have to deal with the point of crisis is very, very near.
And Bridgegate, there are people that are in the legislature that say they're going to go after Chris Christie because they feel like there should be another investigation because of some things that came up in the trial. You're rolling your eyes already.
I don't see that happening. It's politically, it makes no sense because there isn't a smoking gun. That's the key. If there's no smoking gun, then it looks like there's just more political shenanigans, and this is what New Jersey doesn't like. I mean, fine that they uncovered this, but when we polled, when the initial investigation was going on, the public thought that the the legislative investigation itself was colored by politics as well. So I don't see a lot happening. I don't see 2017 being the year of pensions. I don't see the 2017 being the year of anything except for people running for president and Chris Christie looking to see how he can escape with as little blood on his hands as possible and start the next phase of whatever his career is.
I do think we are going to see some movement on Atlantic City in 2017, though, because Atlantic City, really, it's not a tenable situation. And I think you're going to reach the point where they're going to have to get a state bailout or some other sort of end state problems going forward. You're also going to see the casino issue coming up again very, very soon.
Oh, I know. I heard that. We had a couple of the main players here, and they said they're going to bring it up in the next year, and they can just by rewording the referendum. Thank you so much. It was fascinating. I appreciate it. Patrick Murray, the founding director of the Monmouth Polling Institute and director of experimental research for Fairleigh Dickinson's Public Mind Poll, Dan Cassino. Coming up next, outside of politics, we'll look at the impact of the year's other big news in New Jersey when Jersey Matters continues.